Hey everybody, this is Perch, and I did a video a couple of weeks ago talking about rules for comics and why the more we talk about rules, the less fun comics are. And I think that's, it just has continued to be true. One of the things that I think social media, it seems to encourage or do, I don't know if this is anybody's intent, is it people decide to kind of come out and they want to give various guidelines. And I think it starts innocently enough. The creator will say, hey, here's a, friendly tip. Except in the context of Twitter, it seems more like a proclamation, not like a friendly tip. No matter how good your intentions are, it comes across kind of douchey. And then as people get more and more aggravated and people use kind of Twitter language like just ... no, or hey, my dude. I mean, these kinds of simple phrases just make the whole thing seem a lot more like somebody from a pedestal kind of talking down to you. And when you combine that with the fact that a lot of comic creators like to have the persona of, I am a friendly hipster, I am heavy metal, I am punk rock. And then they're saying, hey, the rules of Twitter are that you shouldn't retweet without proper attribution. It's like, there's no way to be punk rock and sound like that. You sound like a dork. And I think Twitter in general, it tends to it will definitely bring out the worst, but also just make people look a lot worse than they may intend. So I got this question here, and it's a reasonable question, and it says basically, should there be rules to how a creator responds to criticism? Kind of the other direction. And so my initial gut answer is no. And I say no because it's going to fall in that same line of trying to make everything conform, trying to make. I mean, I do think that there's common sense. Here's the difference between rules and common sense. I think if you're a creator, particularly an indie creator, and it's the indie creators, the people who have no real career but they're hoping for more, tend to be the ones that are the most block friendly, tend to act up the most on social media, tend to talk down to other people. And what's interesting is these are people who are, maybe without realizing it, cutting their careers in the throat. Every time they do that, every time they kind of take these actions, they're limiting their audience, and they're the ones who need it more. Al Ewing can afford to block half of Twitter at this point because he has an established career. He's a known name. He's selling. It doesn't matter for him. The 2% or half of 1% of comic buying audience on Twitter, it doesn't matter for him. But what does matter is when you get into something like some comic creator who is, just starting out on their career. And those people, they tend to isolate kind of the audience that's going to provide them that upswell. So I think there's a lot of common sense reasons why there, in many ways should be rules about how to respond to criticism. But I think that, it's one of those cases where people just need to either have common sense or, they're on their own. Because the rules that you'd put in place, I mean, what is funny is if, as a company, if say Marvel or DC, if they suddenly put out a rules of conduct for creators and they pass this around, the creators would instantly take to social media decrying the rules to say, how dare they tell us what to do? How dare they do rules? The same people who on a regular basis want to tell the fans, the customers, how to critique properly. So it's a little bit ironic, but all things said, no, I don't think there should be rules. I think that people are just either going to have to live with common sense or they're going to have to make fools of themselves and hurt their careers. And there are a number of creators. There's one creator I'm thinking of in particular, and they love to go on and complain about criticism, and they'll take even very benign negative comments and use it to claim that they are being harassed and everything else. And they're all over that. And this creator tends to be constantly promoted and cheered on by their peers. But their career is hitting a ceiling. And I hear more and more people talk about how they wouldn't work with this person. And I feel like we're seeing this career arc getting just shot right in the making. And again, it's their own doing. Um, so that's my general perspective. Should there be rules? No. However, and this isn't going to undo anything. General advice. So again, not rules. You can do what you want, but general advice about how creators should respond to criticism. Well, the best piece of advice is don't. Many fans and many customers do get angry and they try and bait creators. It does happen. And they'll say, offensive things, or they'll try and troll the creator into doing a response because that's fun for the day. And the best thing to do is not to retweet it, not to screenshot it, not to act like, take me to my fainting couch because somebody is coming after me in an aggressive way, but rather ignore. Yes, just ignore. If somebody is hell-bent to try and troll you, the best thing to do is to not get involved. Just let it go. Because all you're doing is pouring gasoline on the fire to some extent, and it's not going to help you. It's not going to make you look good. You're not teaching anybody a lesson. I do think several creators are addicted to this idea of, look, I'm being attacked, and then some fellow creators come in and go, oh, I'm sorry that's happening to you. You have my support, thoughts and prayers, and it is. I think some people love that journey. Because I see creators kind of go through that cycle once a week, where they're like, "Oh my God, I'm being attacked! Somebody come help me!" And it's but it's ridiculous. The best thing you can do is just ignore it. If you feed it, you will get more of it. And I mean, unless you're into that kind of circle jerk, there's no reason to do it. But in general, I think the best thing to do with criticism, and I would actually, by the way, say the same thing for positive. I know criticism's not positive, but positive thoughts as well. I see creators who will only respond to people who post loving notes to them on Facebook or on Twitter. And what's interesting about that is it is teaching a lesson to the audience. The lesson is if you just give massive praise, you'll get attention. And that isn't necessarily helpful to you as a creator. I think it makes you start to look a little ridiculous over time. And again, it's the best thing to do with criticism. The rule or the guidance I would give is read it, determine if there's something you can learn from it, and move on. I think dwelling on it positively or negatively probably has just negative consequences. It's probably there's no good that can come of it. So you're better off just letting it go. I think that in many cases, just learn from it. In many cases, people, fans, customers are giving you good ideas. They're trying to help. They're telling you something that could help you, could inspire you, could give you some ideas in the future. I think many people, not just creators, but just in general, have blind spots where they don't realize that they're kind of hitting the same tropes over and over again. They're repeating themselves. It's very easy to fall into that. And so if you are mature, if you're confident in yourself, then this kind of occasional outside feedback can be helpful to help steer you, to help basically the thing that you're the best thing you're getting out of it is just a recognition of how you're being received. And that is, I mean, big corporations pay tons of money to do usability feedbacks and to get information about how their message is landing. And so, as a creator, being able to get kind of free feedback of how your message is landing is very helpful. And if you get too controlling over it, if you insult it, if you criticize it, if you're like, you can only talk to me in a certain way, you're basically turning that feedback loop off. You're telling people the only way to engage with me is to do it in this exact way. And if you don't do it in this exact way, I'm going to yell at you, or I'm going to block you, or I'm going to do all that. That's going to hurt you long term, period. The smartest people understand that they can categorize the feedback and they can react accordingly, and that's what you should do. Anyway, my opinion, should there be rules? No. I think it's I think at some point people have to be adults. If they can't be adults, I don't know what to tell you. Anyway, Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and thanks for listening.